Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the passing of one of our colleagues, Senator Mike Enzi. He was a long-serving member of this committee and someone who really embodied the nonpartisan tradition of this committee as well. He was always a willing partner when it came to common sense legislative ideas, and our thoughts and our prayers are with his family. And I'd like to just take a brief moment of silence for us to honor his memory. Thank you. Thank you, Secretary Mayorkas, for being here today and for your service to our nation. In accepting the nomination to be the Secretary of Homeland Security, you inherited a number of very serious challenges. You have a difficult job, and I appreciate your unwavering commitment. And I have been pleased to see the department and the administration take concrete steps to combat threats against American communities, including the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Today, this committee will discuss how we can help you and the dedicated workforce at DHS better protect the American people from the threats, from these threats by examining the administration's budget request for 2022. Every year, the Homeland Security Secretary testifies before this committee to discuss the tough challenges that were made to arrive at these final budgetary numbers, but we often don't hear about how those decisions were actually made. The numbers in this budget proposed represent decisions that will have a real effect on the safety of the American people, and it's our duty to carefully consider your proposal and thoroughly evaluate the process that led you to these conclusions. This year, I'm pleased to see that your proposed budget focuses on tackling some of the most serious challenges and threats facing our nation, challenges that have only been compounded by a pandemic that has taken the lives of more than 600,000 Americans and left serious economic destruction in its wake. And it's clear these threats to the American people will only grow and continue to evolve. This is especially true as we continue a scourge of ransomware attacks against everything from K-12 schools, federal networks, small businesses, a major pipeline, and even meat processing plants. These attacks, which continue to disrupt countless American lives, show that we must ensure that the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency and other federal entities responsible for our federal defenses have the necessary resources to formulate an all-of-government response to foreign adversaries and criminal organizations who are relentlessly targeting network vulnerabilities and disrupting American lives and livelihoods. At the same time, the department must also be able to fight against physical threats that put thousands of American communities at risk. In recent years, violence driven by white supremacist and anti-government ideologies has continued to rise and lead to real-world harm, as we saw from the deadly breach of the United States Capitol. I'm pleased to see that this year's budget request supports addressing the root causes of this horrific violence by supporting innovative, community-based methods for countering and collecting more information and data on domestic terrorism while respecting the privacy of American citizens. In addition to addressing these significant challenges, I look forward to hearing how the department plans on investing in effective and modern border security that not only protects our nation, but also provides for the efficient and fair processing of asylum seekers at our southern border. I hope to also continue working together to ensure secure and efficient lawful trade and travel at our nation's ports of entry so that border states like Michigan can continue to remain hubs for international commerce. As the department continues to address these significant challenges, it's also essential they work to counter threats posed by climate change through disaster resilience and hazard mitigation. Early investments in adaptive mitigation and resiliency efforts will save taxpayer dollars in the long run. I appreciate that this budget request highlights the need to allocate more funding to reduce the risk for communities when disaster strikes. It's my hope that this budget and our discussion here today will reflect that broad scope of challenging responsibilities that you have, but also the department's opportunities.